Thank you for coming to this 8th session for 2026. I give myself over now to the flow of the I Am. It is a live recording. It is an odd thing for this one, as she thanks you for coming, and then I thank you for coming. In that oneness, it is difficult for the mind to embrace that reality, that clarity of understanding, that oneness in the seeming separation and the necessity of the seeming separation. There might be the expression of that individuality and that knowing of that freedom and that free will. So on the oneness and beingness, it is difficult terms to define for the understanding on so many levels that you humans are on, even in those that come to this session. For the levels of understanding, even as the levels of evolving, are infinite in all the universes, because all that is infinite. And your beingness, who you are in each moment, is who you are being. And yet you have that higher beingness of your highest self, which is, of course, your oneness of the I Am. As I have said before, the spark that I sent out was not separate from me, but was part of me, and is still part of me. Excuse me. As you are still that oneness of myself that we are. Sometimes the verbiage, the articulation seems to be so confusing or flowing and yet nonsensical to some, and with full clarity to others. But as I said, I will try to communicate on the level that each needs for their clarity and their level of understanding. So let's talk about the oneness. What does that mean? I say it often, and it is so important, that oneness. And the awareness, the conscious awareness of that oneness, the conscious awareness of that beingness. It is indeed the conscious awareness that you are evolving with. That is that gift of your individuality. To choose with your free will, to be that you already are. So you must be allowed, each of you, to experience your free will choices, no matter the level of positive or negative that they may seem in your experiences. For any manifestation of experience is a temporary thing, for the expression of, for the choosing, for the availability of being and creating yourself in that moment as you would choose to be of your free will, with no judgment in that moment of who you are in your beingness and who you are being in that moment. For in a 24-hour day that a human has that they use measurement on, there are many experiences that you have that are just automatic. Whether you're eating a meal, you're in that beingness of enjoying the food, or fulfilling a hunger, or whatever the level it is that you approach that experience. But you are in that beingness. And yes, I am experiencing that joy of the food, or not so much the joy of the food. It just depends on your experience. So varied are they. And so interesting is that experience from an infinite perspective. But I would have you enjoy every experience in this human life that you have been given, that you have chosen to experience. For you, again, I remind you, have chosen to be here. And yes, there is that higher purpose that we talk about, the evolving, the ascension, the event. But all of it is, again, coming full circle to the individual that you are as a human, but also as your higher self, as a soul. For your higher self, your soul is always guiding you. And that is always in that full oneness of who you are. And for that experience to allow you a conscious choice to be. For I did not create you as a soul to be, as you would call it, a cookie cutter example of repetitive beingness. No, but rather infinite creativity of individuality. And therein lies my joy, and should be your joy in your experiences. For each one leads you always to your higher self, but in your own time and your own choice, as is that gift. Now, in this timing of this earth and the event, the ascension that is referred to quite often, and is a real event, and the term event is a human application, for I say it is simply the beauty of the evolving of life as you evolved into a higher frequency, for you cannot remain stagnant in any frequency. And again, I have said this before, but some of you come and have not gone back and listened to some of the other sessions that have been presented here, which again, I gently suggest you do, for they all have a bit of a different perspective that joins this all in your clarity of understanding of everything that is happening and all that you are, as I have told you the truth of who you are. And as you come into that awareness of your sovereign self as my child, as that oneness that we are, and that all that is. So I say in this ascension, for you to become aware in your awareness of beingness, of who you are individually, the expression of who you are. Enjoy that individuality. That is that blessing. And it is a constant change that you choose, that I have no control over, for I choose no control over those things. I would have my children have the freedom to be infinitely free, to be and express who they choose. For my love for you never changes, no matter what your choice is. And there are those that choose dark paths, and they are painful paths. And it will be a long path for some to come back into the light, and that their path would have more light and the joy. But there is confusion there within them as they experience those moments of ego, of what they feel is their self separate from all that is. But as you come into that knowingness that you are not separate in that highest truth, that you are always that oneness, but allowed that separation. It is a confusing concept for many, and for some, not necessary at this point of their journey in this path, this human path. The higher purpose that I deal with when I talk to those of that higher frequency now who have come by choice from a higher frequency vibrational beingness, their existence in another dimensional reality even, are non-dimensional, as there are realities that are non-dimensional. There are concepts that are not discussed here, for they are so mind-bending, and it is so important for you to concentrate on the now that you are in, the now that is so important. For it is for all of you to go to the next level, that you may experience that next level of joy and light and creativity and all those things to come with each level as you evolve. But I remind you, in your evolving, your highest self is fully evolved. For in that oneness with myself, it is all it is, and you are. So, having embraced all of that to somewhat confusing discussion, I say, let us continue on this discussion for 2026, as we have discussed now your beingness and your oneness, but your oneness with one another. For when you discover your oneness of self, being one with all that is, you realize you are also one with each other. And each creation that you see that is a manifestation in a physical form, whether it be an animal or a plant or another human, whatever it is, the ocean, the mountain, the breeze, everything that exists is in a manifestation in some sort of physical form. And it is expression of the divine. It is expression of your highest self and our oneness. So embrace that tree, embrace the animal, embrace the breeze, or the sea, or the mountain. All that is, embrace that oneness that you have with them. And know that power, know the feeling of that energy. And that energy is power. And that power will be applied as you choose it to be. The highest power will always be reserved for your highest self. For it will not be allowed to be directed in that level of power through a negative choice. But to some degree, yes. And those degrees do bring shadows and can bring anxiety and pain and trauma. So again, I say, choose them not. Choose the joy and the light and the beingness. Know the difference between sorrow and joy. For both can have tears. Tears of joy, tears of sorrow. But both can have the same physical experience to some degree and can be confused to be intertwined. But they have their distinct separations even in their oneness of experience. So understand, the separation is simply part of the experience. Now these disclosures that are coming, these higher truths that are being used to expose these lower lies, shall we call them, or misdirections, misuse of a truth, whatever you want to call them. All of these things are coming out into the light, and it is a joyful thing. So see them, understand them, make a choice in response to them, and always allowing you to come into that higher choice in response to them. For the choice is about you. It is not about the disclosure that you are observing or experiencing. It is about your response to it, for that is what changes everything. And that is what creates, again, I remind you, your reality. So allow these things and embrace these things, for they will come in a torrent. And they are coming faster now as that acceleration continues indeed to accelerate. So there will be many things coming, especially toward the end of this year, as these things build up in the energy that is coming in from all that is, as I have told you previously. There is energies coming in that are very positive and very enlightening and very strengthening, that are coming from all of the planets, their energies, for they are sentient beings, and each of them in their benevolent beingness, in the fullness of who they are sending this to help you on your journey, to give you the light and the strength and the guidance that you need. And all of that is within you. It is coming into you, for it is all within you to choose. For there is nothing outside of you that will make your free will choice. It will be something that you, yourself, as that individual soul, will be making consciously. So make it, and then experience it, and then choose a response to that experience and all that it brings. For that, indeed, is the pathway of your highest self and your human path. For you have those two paths, and they are both the same path, with different experiences. For I remind you, your highest self remains the highest self. So fear not losing that. Your soul is always safe, always. No matter how dark or deep you go in your choices, your soul is always safe. And you will always come back to the light. but it can be a slower path if you choose it to be so. But I will always be with you. Do know you are never ever alone in whatever choice you make. We share the sadness if you choose that experience, and we share the joy if you would choose that experience. For there is joy in all shadows. There is still that light of joy that you can find. So be in that knowing and that wisdom. Now, many things that are coming, as I have said, will be on many levels. All these levels that exist within this third dimensional reality of the systems that humans have created, of these governments used to govern. And there is nothing wrong with having a leader, for there are those that have that gift of leadership, for there are those that just want to experience their life and the joy and the comfort of beingness of their experiences as a family, as an individual, as hobbies that they do, whatever, so that they can freely do that while there is someone making the quote-unquote bigger decisions as far as government and finances and such. But you are still individually part of and in control of what that will be as individuals, because you create those systems and you demand truth and light now in those systems. These demands were not made previously on the level that they are being made now, in the collective awareness that is growing and evolving, and the light that is spreading is so very beautiful. Each of you are more and more beautiful always, with every choice you make. For me, you are always perfect, and in that perfection of yourself is the perfection of the I am. And there is no lessening of that perfection, no matter you feel like your imperfections or your shortcomings. Don't worry about those. Those are part of your experience. Some are to help you be more humble, for humble is a facet of unconditional love. For others, you need to feel the self-confidence, for that is a facet of unconditional love. For both need to be experienced for you to experience your wholeness, that oneness that you are with all of those facets of your higher self. These things are a beautiful thing to give, and you giving them to yourself. I give them to you through yourself in our oneness. Again, that beingness that you choose to experience. So these systems are changing because of you individually, and there are leaders within them. And there are those, as I have said, that have been placed or that are now coming into the forefront. They have placed in those systems, in their higher awareness, with their intent to reveal and expose these higher truths, that all of this may evolve and change to a higher beingness for all of you and all of your systems. All of those physical systems that you have created, whether they be financial, government, and laws, and even social, cultural, all these things are expanding. Allow this expansion. Be a part of the creative process of that, and it being positive and full of light. But this is all coming to fruition, and it is all coming. Some of you don't see the coming of it, and that is fine. You do not have to be in the middle of the details. For again, that's what the leaders are supposed to do, are they not? But be in the awareness of your importance in those, and that you keep them in their responsibility too, what they are supposed to be doing according to your highest choices collectively, and what you are creating in your reality, in your dimensional reality. For 5D is being created as we speak. It already exists. And this 3D that will remain, it is changing, and it exists and will continue to exist. As again, I always say, the 4D in between. For all of this is becoming a higher light for each of you. And each of you will have your experiences within them as you choose. So create them carefully. Create them with conscious thought, conscious choices, in your response to what you see coming, that it may change accordingly. For you have that freedom of creation. And the reality that you create is part of the foundation of, again, I say, your next evolutionary state, whether it be 60, 70, so forth and so on, or even the angelic level. Each of you are on different levels of your evolving. And yet I say still, you are in that higher level that your higher self is, that is putting that energy into this human experience. So again, some of this can be seemingly confusing, but it is not. It's a simple concept. Allow yourself to open to this flow of understanding, for this is all the foundation of all that is to come for you, in all of your experiences to come. For many, there will be difficult experiences, but they, again, I remind you, and remind yourself when they come, that they are temporary. In some ways, as this one has had the experience, this one, Uzuri, of being a mother, of the labor of giving birth, is a temporary experience. And she herself, at those moments, was reminding herself viciously, if I might say, that it was going to pass and something beautiful would come through it. And it did. And all of your experiences to come is part of that birthing that you're doing of your highest self and the experience of that highest self. That is the gift here in 3D. So let it be. So many of you will not have such a difficult path, for you have chosen, and each choice that you make has created the next choices that you are offered along your path. Even with you being, as I said before, in the same dimensional realities of 3D, as we continue to stay anchored here, as these changes are experienced and coming about and manifesting in your environment, in all of the countries, in all of the continents, and within all of the cultures, and the villages, and the small groups and communities. For all of you are connected in your oneness. And all of this has that power of the oneness to come about. And it is in that coming. I cannot be more joyful with all of this. And I say to you, continue to go on your individual paths. Continue to come, for I will cover more details indeed. It is important now to firm the foundation that you are building on. For that foundation is growing fast, and the building will happen with each conscious choice. And you are making them constantly, for that is a part of your life, of living that constant change of energy and the power of your free will. So make those choices and be aware everything is accelerating. So the building of your foundation is accelerating also. And soon I will have to go into more detail, because you will be ready for more details of this foundation that you are building. And again, reminders of what it is building toward. For it is all beautiful and all positive, and you will get through anything that you are going through now that brings some kind of difficulty or challenge. Each of you will have your own personal experiences within them, even if you're standing together holding hands. You are still individuals of heart, soul, and of mind. But in that oneness of the all that is that you are connected with, the I am that I am all that is, that is you. And you are beautiful. And in your hand holding, in your even etherical hand holding, your spiritual connections with one another, there is nothing stronger and nothing that separates with time or distance. Everything is always in that now. You are connected to those you love who may be thousands of miles away. And in that conscious connection of, it is even more powerful. But always, always, there is no such thing as empty space between you and anything. Between myself and you now, there is no empty space. There is no distance or time. For the energy that flows through this one, in this I am sessions, as she calls them, are for you. And for all of this to be accomplished by you, that you might know yourself and know the strength that you are. Know the individuality that you are in your beautiful self. So know yourself as that light being that you are. Thank you so much for coming. And I close this session now and give this one back her body in full consciousness. And go into that flowing with each of you as you leave here and assimilate what has been shared with you. And do come again, for the information will begin to accelerate now for your readiness of it. Thank you.